Boom! Thundercloud here with an article from the Melbourne Age in 1952 about Edward Harrington, our digger poet. It goes like this. A digger poet, work of Edward Harrington. Australia has her poets of war, no less than older lands, and not least of these is the Victorian Edward Harrington. Not that all his poems deal exclusively with war. As a digger of the First World War, his experiences naturally moved him to decry its horror and waste while appreciating the glory of individual sacrifice and heroism. In his collection of poems, Boundary Bend and Other Ballads, now almost impossible to procure, he writes of many phases of his life as a member of the 4th Light Horse serving in Palestine in the main. He prefers the ballad form, and because of this, his tolerant and compassionate outlook is regarded by some as wearing Lawson's mantle. Edward Harrington was born at Shepparton and attended the Wanalta State School. This was the school that Joseph Furphy made famous as the schoolhouse on the plain. At the age of 12, Harrington had written quite a number of verses for his own artistic outlet. It was natural that the bush and its creatures should have a strong appeal. In one of these juvenile verses, he says of a skylark, and sweetly high and clearly loud through the hushed air it rang, and e'en it seemed as if each cloud had taken a voice and sang. Love of the land, Edward Harrington is a great son of Australia, loving and knowing her cities and her bush. He shows us the waving crops and shearing sheds and finds humour and pathos in barrooms and crowded markets alike. Many of his poems show his love of the land. There is a suggestion of patriarch columns in his little bit of land, which finishes, and I've got my future planned, for at last I'm the owner of a little bit of land. And again in the Ploughman he boasts, when the sunset reddens, I drop the reins, pat my horses and drop their chains, and they go for a roll in the rich red loam, and quicken their steps as they turn for home. And I follow behind them with heart content for a task well done and my day well spent. With cool wind blowing upon my brow, oh, I love my horses and I love my plough. Many subjects are treated by his pen, nature, of course, and even a satire. The Kerrigan Boys is the title poem of a second collection of Harrington's poems. His verses, set to music, form another group. Many of his songs have been sung by famous singers such as Peter Dawson, or Smoky Dawson he was known as, but as a digger poet, that is where he's at his strongest. He wrote of the Sinai and Palestine, and as he wrote of the stockyards, with knowledge and understanding. He knows the sorrow of those left behind. In Lone Pine, he mourns the dead, with no bugle call can wake them from their slumber. In another poem, simply called Memories, the sun will rise and the sun will set on minaret, mosque and tomb, but the desert children will not forget the men of the emu plume. One sacrifice and in the dead come home. He makes a scathing indictment which we all should heed. He says, we deemed that from our sacrifice a brighter world would rise, purged of the lust of greed and gain, a world more just and wise, that peace would reign for evermore between the warring powers, and happiness would smile again on this fair land of ours, till all your pledges to the dead are honoured and fulfilled, your traitors to the faith we held, whatever shrines you build. He continues to write this digger poet of ours, and though like many 1914 diggers, he spends much time in hospital, his poems continue to appear. He had written of Caesar, Shylock and Chauvel, but never more sincerely or feelingly than he does of the average digger. For he is our digger poet, Edward Harrington. If you like that, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe so you get more interesting poetry and history from our Aussie poets. Boom.